For those who excelled, there is the very best waiting for them. Al-Husna. And then some. This ziyada, this word is very beautiful here. Allah describes the rewards of people of Jannah very little in this surah. But what little He does suffices. You know, khairul kalam ma qalla wa dalla, that's what this is. The word ziyada means excess. Al-Husna, is that comparative or superlative? Superlative. Which means those who excelled have the very, very best. Once you go superlative, there's no such thing as thinking past the superlative. Right? But Allah says that's from your imagination. That's in your minds. You can't go past the superlative. Above better, there is best. Above best, there isn't bestest. There isn't. Best is the top. Allah says those who excel will have the best. Okay, that's the limits of my imagination. Oh, you don't think there's any more? There's actually even more. وَزِيَادَةً. There's even more than that. وَزِيَادَةً. وَلَا يَرْحَقُ وُجُوهَهُمْ قَتَرٌ. You know, تَرْحَقُهَا قَتَرًا, which is amma. You see the same verbs come together again. Of something to overcast another forcefully. Rahaq would also be like, I mean, of course you guys don't watch any movies, but if you know, some dude's getting kidnapped, they opened up that van, and they put that thing over his head, and they force him into the van, that's rahaq. Grabbing something and forcing it, putting a cover on it forcefully, whether it's an animal, a person, or whatever. Allah says, وَلَا يَرْحَقُ وُجُوهَهُمْ قَتَرٌ. And the people of Jannah, the ones who get this, their faces are not going to be covered up. They're not going to be hooded with qatar. Qatar is black smoke that comes from fire. Black smoke that comes from fire. Qatrun nar, they say. Right? So that smoke will not cover them. In other words, Allah is saying, you guys are going to have the very best of Jannah. Understand the rationale. You're going to have the very best of Jannah and beyond imagination. وَزِيَادَةً. And here's the really awesome thing, you won't burn in hell. Like Allah is describing that as a reward. Not going to hell. Not having your faces covered in smoke. وَلَا ذِلَّةً. And not having your faces covered in humiliation. That smoke is bad. And you know, usually Qur'an goes from bad to worse. The sequence is usually bad to worse, or better to best. So it ends on a climactic note. That's one of the very common sequences of Qur'an. Right? So what's mentioned? The climax, dhillah. Humiliation is even worse. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. Those are the people of Jannah that don't have those problems. هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. In which they are going to remain. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. وَالَّذِينَ كَسَبُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ. While those who earned continual sins, multiple sins, جَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ بِمِثْلِهَا, is the compensation of any sin is going to be the like of it, is going to be the equivalent. وَتَرْحَقُهُمْ ذِلَّةٌ. And humiliation will be covered over them. It will overshadow them, it will mask them. مَا لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ. They're not going to find in Allah any asim whatsoever. As far as Allah, within Allah, they're hoping for protection from Allah. They're not going to find it whatsoever. Ibn al-Faris says, كَلِمَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى الْإِمْسَاكِ وَالْمَنْعِ وَالْمُلَازَمَةِ مِنْ سُوءِ مَا يَقَعُ فِيهِ. Roughly speaking, a word that alludes to someone holding you back. Someone who is asim to you is someone who's grabbing you and holding you back. Al-imsak wal-man', and preventing you from going forward. Wal-mulazama, and committing to holding on to you, so that it can keep you from the harm that you were about to fall into. You're walking, you don't even realize there's a ditch, like 50-foot drop. You don't even realize it. You're walking, and your friend grabs you and holds you, and doesn't let you go. Or a child, that's why children do dumb things like that, right? Like walking around next to a swimming pool or something, and the mom grabs him and doesn't let go. And he says, no, I want to touch the water with my nose. No, you can't touch the water with your nose. He says, your nose wasn't made for that. So this is asima. She's holding on to him for protection. And won't let go to protect them. They were hoping Allah would protect them. Allah says they will not find in Allah any asim whatsoever. مَا لَهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ. And by the way, مَا مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ عَاصِمٍ لَهُمْ. Lahum is actually the muta'alliq bil khabar muqaddam, which means it's not these people that will find a asim. Who will? The believers. Why? Because no qatar will be covering their face. No dhillah will be covering their face. So it's the other that's not mentioned, alluded to. It's alluded to. So Allah is alluding to the fact that we will have Allah Azza wa Jal as our asim. كَأَنَّمَا أُغْشِيَتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ قِطَعًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. It is as though their face has been covered. أُغْشِيَتْ, has been covered. أَغْشَى يُغْشِي إِغْشَى, to cover something. this word means actually to cover something in a way that's not fully hidden. Ghashiya or aghsha here even, to cover something, but it's not fully hidden, it's somewhat exposed. So their face is almost completely covered, as though their face is almost completely covered with qita'an min al-layl, with a piece of night. With a piece of night, like a piece of the black patch of the sky has been smacked onto their face. Mudliman, dark, making it dark. وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Those are the people of fire.